tower is 30 feet tall, and you can climb up and you can watch the vessels go in and out of the river. The port has applied for a $750,000 grant, and they want to pave this parking lot, put in permanent bathrooms, and also pave the boat launch and add some more floats.
Here.
So we'll hope they get that grant so they
I've
can
been here
improve
before.
it. Now, we are coming along, or I'll be quiet,
To a bit faster.
going over the railroad tracks. Okay, as you look out to your right, you are going to see T1. T1 has a ship tied up to it, and you see the pipes that go out to that ship. T1 is principally used just for liquid, bulk liquid. And the liquids are the biodiesel goes out and the methanol comes in. And that's what all those long tubes are. Now we're riding along and looking out the right-hand side, we see Fry Creek. That's also part of port property. And the port's very conscious of making sure that wildlife is not hurt, because they want the geese and the ducks and the deer and the animals all to survive. You are looking at the T1 area right now that has Imperium and also Westway Terminal. But look at all this big gravel space. There is room for expansion. So if one of those companies wants to expand, they can, or a brand new company can come in. Now these big tanks have to do with Imperium. Each one of those tanks holds 2 million gallons. So just imagine when you're pouring your cereal in the morning, the milk on your cereal, you've got a gallon jug, 2 million of them fit in those tanks. And can anybody guess how many steps are on the sides of those tanks? What do you think, Lillian?
At least 50.
You're right, there's at least 50. Each one has around 95, 96, 97. And the way they were made is the welder would weld the first step on, he'd step on that step, weld the second step, step on that, and weld the third step. So you know he had to trust his own welding ability to make all those steps. As we go along, we're going to see black railroad cars. Those are called tankers, and they are used for transporting liquid. So the tankers, you see the great big hole in the top? A tube comes down and either can take the liquid out or put the liquid in, the tanker cars. We're going to go back on the Port Industrial Road, and as we go along, on the right-hand side, you're going to see the Westway Terminal tanks. And what they do is they hold methanol, and those tanks are even bigger than the Imperium tanks. They hold 3.3 million gallons. And methanol has some vapors that you don't want to escape. And so the great big Westway tanks, those great big white ones there, they have an odd lid. It's kind of like a pie tin, and it's kind of loose. And so it just kind of floats on top of the liquid. So if the liquid's half full, the lid is on top of it, or full. But it just kind of floats on top of it. So it's safe for the vapors. Now on the right-hand side, we are driving past local manufacturing. This is Dahlstrom's, and they are the ones that process the logs. They'll take the bark off the logs that are going to China, or they will take the logs that aren't very good for logs and make them into chips. See all the piles of chips? Those chips get sent down to Longview Fiber and to other places for making pulp, etc. And the bark is used for fuel. And also, this green building here, that building is Harpo. It's part of local manufacturing, and in there, 12 people work, and they use a process with paper and resin that adheres to plywood, and that plywood is used for cement forms, because you know when you pour cement, you have to have a mold, and you don't want the cement to stick to the wood, but it sticks to the paper, and the paper peels off the cement easily. Home Depot, right here, I'm sure some of you have probably gone in Home Depot. And on the left-hand side, you see some other businesses that are in the Commerce Park. Remember, there are over 100 businesses on 600 acres of port property. Now we're driving along, and we're looking at the cars that have been brought in from Hawaii. This is a really cool contract that Pacia Group has. The rental cars in Hawaii, once they reach 30,000 miles, they're